Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Claudia and I want to welcome you here to this will be my third installment of my life spirit calling. It'll be chapter 3, and so hopefully you will find something here of interest that'll make you want to stick around. Chapter 3, It's Okay to Dream. The spiritual group I'd been attending called it an exercise in manifestation, a way to focus energy on a goal or series of goals for the coming year. Thus, I'd been contemplating what I wanted to achieve and do for myself and my son that year of new beginnings. Now a divorced mom, the night before retiring, of about the 3rd of November. In prayer, the list of things I wanted was sent heavenward. Adding an addendum at the end included the message that this was the first time in many years that I'd been lonely. I just thought they ought to know. Sleeping soundly through the night, the dream that was with me in the morning sent me into peals of laughter. In this dream, I was walking barefoot, bikini clad, suntanned and happy on the most luxurious sandy beach on a beautiful island on a sun-kissed day. The wind was tossing my also luxurious long hair about my face. I noticed someone was holding my hand. Looking down toward our feet, I saw the bare feet and legs of a man. Eyes moving up the body, he had long, tanned, strong legs, slender hips, and a tanned, broad chest. He moved closer to me then, spinning me into him, an elegant dance move, I thought. We embraced as he bent to kiss me, obliging after our passionate kiss, and opening my eyes. Seeing his face, I burst into peals of laughter. I was laughing so hard, the dream dissolved into a mist. I couldn't concentrate or focus. Manifesting Tom Selleck, the perfect person to hold and kiss, albeit a dream person, was a long stretch but very sexy for sure. Only in my dreams. And one can dream, can't they? I believe we ought to dream more. Wanting a better job, car, coat, shoes, boyfriend, vacation, or haircut, it's the only way you will get it. Truly, manifestations are dreams fulfilled. I decided that dream pretty much topped my entire list of dream manifestations for the whole year. I still smile about it, but more to the point, what it did was fill me to the brim with joy, love, and laughter. All of those are thoughts of good coming to me, which I desired greatly. Every time I thought about the dream, loneliness, worries disappeared, replaced by laughter and joy. Just before Christmas, a dear friend and co-worker, Pat, and her husband invited my son and me to go with them to Mount Bachelor in Eastern Oregon on a week-long snow ski trip in January. Beside the fact that my son would be in school and I would be required to make a new car payment, the immediate answer was thank you, but no, I couldn't see any possibility, and I was very stressed. There was no way I could afford the luxury of a trip on top of everything else. Work, programs, conversions, and single mother was just too much. So there was no way I could afford the luxury of a trip on top of everything else, and Pat explained that her sister-in-law was the manager of a luxury condo in Seattle at Pike Place Market. In exchange for a favor, she had been given a compensated unit at Sun River. This exchange was being passed along to her brother, and it was a 2-bedroom condo for free. She continued, they planned to cook most of their meals in, and taking another moment to dream and to rethink the offer. The impossibility of it overtook the reverie. With a thank you and a second no, we returned to our desks, forgetting momentarily the dream. That day, she came to me before we started working, saying she didn't know why, but she had the feeling I was supposed to come with them. I said no, continuing the theme. Where would the money for that luxury come from? A few days later, she tried again, repeating my previous reply. We both went back to work. About a week went by before Pat returned. This time, she was adamant that we were to accompany them as their guests. This time, I saw it coming, and although my mouth had begun forming the word no, what came out was yes. She saw it too, the no caught there in midair, as if unexpressed. Standing, looking at each other in disbelief, neither of us could say anything. So we hugged each other and she said, great. That night, she called me with the details of the trip, and the next day, homework assignments were scheduled to be completed in my son's absence at school. The promise of a ski trip, some new gloves and hat, made for a grand Christmas celebration. Although following a smashed right leg some years earlier, the result of a motorbike truck accident, skiing was out of the question for me. But getting away provided something special to look forward to. Reading, resting, and doing no thing at all sounded perfect. Just the thought of that already relieved some stress. With snack bag beside us and map in hand, my 13-year-old navigator and I drove together to Sun River, leaving about 8:30 in the morning to avoid rush hour traffic along the I-5 corridor down to Portland, Oregon. One of our all-time favorite things to do was traveling together, and he was my best companion. Each of us finding joy in the journey and escape of the routines of the day-to-day life. Something we'd been doing since he was 3 years old, so we were old hands at it. Once I made up my mind that we were taking the vacation, I didn't look back and was in a festive mood. The quickest route, not at all scenic down the interstates, was an 8-hour drive for half of the distance. And so we played games like, who could find the most out-of-state license plates, the convertibles, farm animals, beetle cars, and such. And nearing Portland, we were both hungry, so we headed toward the Columbia River to a city park I was familiar with. The river, always abuzz with raptors, seabirds, seals, and otters, speedboats, tugboats, freight-hauling barges, and water skiers and sailboarders and such. Turned into a game too, seeing who could spot those. There wasn't much that didn't add to the enjoyment of our games and homemade lunch. It was an unusually warm winter day, the river a deep blue. The ever-present breeze that traveled inland from the Pacific caused ripples and waves to sparkle like diamonds. Stresses began to dissolve even more as I got lost in the water with the sun on my face. From there, the roads were clear for our travel over the pass at Mount Hood, and as we dropped down out of the mountains into eastern Oregon, dry desert. Everything changes from lush west side evergreens, ferns, mosses, and lichens to eastern side pine, aspens, juniper, and spruce with the desert sands and sage. Need a potty stop, honey, or are you saddle weary? I asked as Nathan squirmed in his seat, and without waiting for an answer from him, announced that we were within minutes of a rest area where we could stretch and take care of business. The winter sun gave us another hour before dipping behind the Three Sisters and Mount Bachelor as we arrived at the condo. Stretching our legs while scouring the area, we heard a welcoming hello coming from the porch and hurriedly gathered our main bags before closing and locking the car. Waiting excitedly for our arrival, my friend Pat was wiping her hands on a towel as she ushered us inside and out of the snow. We had driven in snow over Mount Hood, and snow and ice covered the ground and roads mostly, but the roads were mostly clear. At the condo, piles of scraped snow indicated there'd been a hefty recent snowfall. Easily 2 feet of powdery snow, perfect for planned skiing, covered everything. The warmth radiating from our hosts was as welcoming as us to the coziness of the fire. Add to that the aroma of something garlicky coming from the kitchen had my mouth watering and tummy rumbling. Dinner well underway. Pat steered Nathan to his bunk under a skylight to the stars, and he gave his thumbs up of approval when asked about its suitability. A separate bedroom afforded privacy and storage for winter gear for me. A glass of rich red wine was waiting when I emerged ready to help with dinner. Nathan, already enjoying a hot cocoa, had helped set the table, and all four, including her husband Charlie now, were chatting about making Nathan feel part of the family. We ate as the sun disappeared, later giving us a night sky full of stars, casting glittery shadows of light on the field of snow outside. The condo, sitting below Mount Bachelor, had beautiful shadows and occasional hoots and hollers from exuberant skiers taking their last runs down the slopes. Once the quiet settled, the hooting of owls added a sense of peace to the quiet. We played board games while talking about the planned ski days, plus the activities available at the resort for me. We wouldn't be lacking for entertainment while there. After a couple of hours, Nathan happily exchanged board games for video games before bed as the adults went on catching up before fatigue overcame all of us. Amid yawns, we bid each other good night and settled into welcome sleep. Pat and Charlie graciously took Nathan skiing every day. On the alternating days, we explored the main recreation hall, which housed table tennis, shuffleboard, darts, big overstuffed chairs around a big TV and movies, popcorn, and hot tub. There was ping pong. There were tennis courts and swimming pool outside, and miles of walking and bicycle paths. Nearby was the village with a central ice skating rink, surrounded by shops and video arcade, just to name a few of the multitude of seemingly endless possibilities for entertainment. Without the money to pay for extras, I was content watching Nathan enjoy playing hooky while away from school. I didn't downhill ski because of broken pelvis I'd sustained after flying off the back end of a motorcycle when I was 17. So besides reading and being within my, compounded by years later of a smashed leg. So beside reading and being within my own thoughts in solitude, I wasn't lacking for things to keep me busy. On our 5th day in Bend, Charlie and my son went skiing. Charlie and my son went skiing while I stayed behind, preferring to cozy up by the fire and relax. Still early morning, I got a steaming cup of cocoa, wrapped myself in a down comforter, and changed plans, exchanging indoors for outside on the porch and the fresh air. Settling into a comfy wicker chair, I put my feet up on the railing and began to daydream while looking out at the sparkling white field of snow. Set at the base of the mountain, the breath of white before me seemed to have a hypnotic effect as my mind wandered and drifted, calm, peaceful, serene. Out of the ethers, my deceased brother, Stephen, appeared floating down toward me, holding out his hand for me to take. He said, "Come with me, there are things I want to tell you." Taking his hand and easily lifting out of my body, together we floated up to a cloud where we sat as he began stating, "You're going to move to Cody, Wyoming." I found this to be as natural as if he were still alive and we were old friends having coffee at the kitchen table. The fact that I didn't like him at all while he was living did not matter. He was abusive toward me, and that just never entered the picture. As he spoke, I followed along perfectly, item for item. He read from a scroll-like paper, appearing to be a list we had previously agreed to. From the list, he gave me a lengthy set of instructions. Intently staring at me, he stated I needed to take care of these things before selling the house. And that's where I'm going to stop. Chapter 3, just because of time constraints. And so thank you. I hope you found something of interest in there. We all have our own story, and mine is the walk from logical, linear, rational to integrating my soul self into my life. Thank you for joining me today. Please like and subscribe, share with others. Subscribing helps to expand my channel, and I really appreciate you doing both of those things. If you enjoyed it especially, please comment. I really would love to know your thoughts where we are so far. If it's an interesting story or if you've stopped paying attention somewhere back at mile 10. So if you're interested in more information about me, my website and Facebook pages are listed below. And thank you. I will see you in the next installment.